I'm never ready.
Welcome back to the dinner table. I'm your host, Nick. I'm joined by the sentimentalist, Michael.
Hello, sentimentalist.
Sentimentalist, yes. Because
Okay.
you know what we're covering today?
Yeah, I do.
Today we are talking about a classic movie, in my opinion, the best movie ever made. We've just been trying to copy it ever since, and that is the 1942 classic of Casablanca. I'm not really that old, but might as well be at times. It starred the great Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. I can never say her name correctly.
Yeah.
Um, the great lead actors.
Yeah, she's absolutely stunning.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Great.
Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And they had them listed. I think they're equally as important to the plot myself, and everything is Paul Heinried, who plays Laszlo.
Victor Laszlo.
Yeah, Victor Laszlo, and Claude Rains, who is Renault. Renault. Let me say that correctly. It's very French. And what was his name? I'm so sorry. Oh, and Dooley Wilson, who plays Sam. Those are, to me, the most. Everybody else is fine. The German commander, you don't need to know his name. He's just a German commander.
He was actually he escaped the Nazis with his Jewish wife.
No kidding.
Yeah, and came to America and played Nazis all the time in all these movies.
Yeah, Conrad Videt.
And he died shortly after the movie was released.
Yeah, 1943. Holy cow.
Yeah.
He's a young man, too. He's 50 years old. That's a lot of these guys passed away young.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he escaped the Nazis with his Jewish wife and ended up playing Nazis.
Playing Nazis, yeah. And he did a really good job. Yeah. I mean, he was great in the movie.
He was good.
But as far as the story goes, I mean, I guess you could have anybody be that. He was loosely the antagonist. It's really hard to tell. I mean, he was the bad guy. But Renault could also be the bad guy.
Yeah.
But Casablanca is set, like I said, 1942, sets in the beginning of the war, World War II. It's before the U.S. got in, or just getting ready to? It's way before, right?
Yeah.
When did we get in?
1944.
Oh, we're 44. So it was still a war that was building. And it's Casablanca was a home for refugees where they all ran from Europe, and they had to make this long trek all the way down through the tip of Africa into Morocco. And they would hold up in the city Casablanca, and then they would get a plane to Lisbon. So they would do this weird circle.
Yeah.
And then they would get on a boat and take the boat to the U.S. to try to escape the Nazis at that time. The German the Blitzkrieg, pretty much. That's when they were going hardcore and just cutting through everybody. And that's where you meet at the wonderful Rick's Cafe. Is it Rick? Yeah, Rick's Cafe.
Rick's Cafe America.
Yep. And you have Mr. Humphrey Bogart, who's Rick, and fantastic. I always thought he was a good actor. I know he plays a lot of similar characters.
I was never overly fond of his acting, but seeing some of his older movies and watching him again, yeah, he was good. I mean, he had that, I don't know, New York shtick or whatever.
Humphrey Bogart.
But, he's fine. He's a good actor. He won an Academy Award for his acting, so I guess he's not terrible.
No, not at all. He was nominated for this one.
Yeah.
What I thought was weird is Ingrid Bergman was not nominated, which I thought was weird because she did
really
freaking great in that movie. But the guy to me who stole that show is Captain Louis Renault. He's so good. His lines in that movie are just
he's a good actor, Claude Rains.
Yeah, he's just great. Everything about him in that movie was fantastic.
Yeah, he was the prefect or the local cop. You got to remember that Casablanca was French at that time.
Yes,
it was Vichy French. France was divided. There was the northern part of France, say half roughly, was occupied by Germans, and the southern part and their territories were what they call Vichy France, where the French sort of kind of governed it, but they were a puppet government of Germany anyway, of the Nazis anyway. So when France surrendered, that was the negotiation. That was the treaty they signed.
That I did not know.
Yeah, yeah. So just to clarify that, it's Casablanca was a French territory,
Yeah,
and
Morocco.
they were under
Yeah.
the Vichy
The Vichy
government.
rule. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
Vichy government. Yeah, which was really a puppet government of the Nazis anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little history lesson there from the history reading guy.
Well, one of the things, being I love film, and I'd like to be one day call myself a full-time filmmaker, but is the director, and I looked into him, and Michael, I don't know, you would quite say that. Is it Cortez? Curtiz?
Curtis.
Cortez. He got his start in 1912 doing silent movies. He has 179 directorial credits to his name.
Wow.
He stopped directing in 1968 or 67 with a Wizard of Oz cartoon. What was it called? It was We're Off to See the Wizard. 1967. He died in 1986. He was an old man, but great director. He won Best Director for this movie, of course. And then the cinematographer, Arthur Edison. He's also a silent era filmmaker. He's he started in 1915 or 1914. When he passed away in 1970, 78 years old.
Yeah.
But he too has a lengthy list. It's like hundreds of movies that he was involved in. So I guess what it looks like back then is they were just factories, like kind of what they are today. They just
Yeah, this movie, I never saw this movie until like 5 years ago. And one of the best movies ever made, if not the best.
It's
usually in the top 5 of greatest movies, no matter who makes the list.
Yeah, it's always there.
Yeah. 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever. And I had never seen the movie. And we have a local theater here that does something on Wednesday nights and Saturday or Sunday afternoons. They have flashback cinema where they show not necessarily old movies, but a lot of times it's movies from the 80s, which to me are not old.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I know you feel.
But this particular Sunday afternoon they had Casablanca, and I got your mother and said, "Let's go see it. I've never seen this movie." She said, "Oh, I've seen it on TV." I said, well, let's go to the theater and see it. And I'm glad I did, because I thought, how did I miss this?
Yeah.
This is a fantastic freaking movie.
And
it's beautifully shot. You can talk about that.
Oh yeah,
the cinematography and stuff. I mean, it's a black and white movie,
and it should only be.
And it should, they colorized it.
And it looks weird because the cinematography was built for black and white. It's something people think about. Yeah.
But it's just a beautifully done movie. I mean, the way they shot it. I mean, you talk more about that than I can.
Oh, it's when I like the scene where she meets Rick in his room. I think it's his room, and you got the way they lit it to where you have the lines on her face, and you can feel the distress. She's distressed.
Yeah,
you can feel like she is just pleading with Rick to give her the papers. Because she wants the papers so her and her husband can escape to Lisbon, and because he is a wanted. Her husband's a wanted man by the Nazis. He was a.
Well, he was a prisoner.
Yeah,
and he allegedly, the way I understand the story, he escaped or he was released from a camp, depending on how you view the story, which to me is kind of a hole in the plot, because when the Nazis show up and Victor Laszlo is there and they know who he is and they know he's a kind of a famous guy, a freedom fighter, and I think they would either shot him on sight or at the very least arrested him.
Yeah, very quickly.
But the story goes that, this is Vichy France, you have no authority here with the Nazis, but they didn't give a shit about authority. They just, they didn't like you, they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
So that to me is a kind of a little plot thing there, but you go with it because it's a good story.
It is. It's a great story.
And probably should talk about the plot a little bit.
Oh, I'll get there. It was written by Julius and Philip Epstein. They're also, I mean, you should see their list. It's insane. Yeah. These are top notch of their era of filmmakers and writers. And Philip Epstein died not long after this movie. They were brothers.
Oh.
And then Julius lived till 2000. He passed away in 2000. No, he died of I think it was Julia. I might have that backwards because they are brothers and they're all listed together. So if I do, I apologize. But fantastic writers. They have so many credits to them. Just screenplay writing. That's all they did. They were just screenplay writers. They would just write and write and write. Matter of fact, their IMDb profiles is the same picture. Both brothers sit next to each other. If you look at it, yeah. So it gets a little confusing if you're looking at it. But they wrote a great plot. The plot is Laszlo, or Rick, first and foremost, kind of, he's a drunkard. He says it best in the movie. I'm a drunkard, which makes him a citizen of the world, He opened up a tavern or a club. I guess it's more of a club.
Yeah.
In Casablanca. He owns it. He's kind of tough, cutthroat. As he says, always famously says, I stick my neck out for no man, and.
Yeah, he had a colored past, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he ran guns in Ethiopia in 1935.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on the loyalist side during the Spanish Civil War.
Now, what was the loyalist? Was that the fascist side or was that the socialist side?
I think it was a social. I don't know.
It's been a while. Yeah, I used to know. But
Americans fought in that war.
Yep. Oh yeah, quite a few. Yeah, they went. A lot of them went over there, kind of like in the Ukraine thing. What we're going through now. A lot of them just went over there just to go. Like, we need to go do this. So he's there. He's there with Sam, who he has a past with as well. Sam has been his piano player for everything. I mean, you could tell when they could do the flashbacks with him and Elsa, who was played by Ingrid Bergman. Sam's there. Sam's always kind of been his trusty right hand. And he gets the papers. I can't remember the guy's name. I can look. I have it right here in front of me. He said one of my favorite lines in the movie. He says, was it, "You've never been impressed with me? Well, if I ever thought about you, maybe I wouldn't." Oh, it's so great. No, they don't show him here. That's too bad. Because, Peter Lorre.
Peter Lorre.
Yeah. Ugrid.
Great actor.
Yeah. Yes, he is. And he has the papers. Nazis come and arrest him, and he's pleading with. Of course, he's pleading with. Or no, the cops come. The French police come to arrest him, and then he's pleading with Humphrey Bogart. Rick, excuse me, and Rick's like doesn't help him at all, but he has the papers. He gives Rick the papers, so that's the important thing. So Rick has these papers that are signed, and it's a free trip out of Casablanca.
Yeah, which to me is another plot hole, because the papers are signed by Charles de Gaulle.
Are they really?
Charles de Gaulle. It says so in the movie.
That's right.
Charles de Gaulle. And Charles de Gaulle, though, is free French, but he's in exile in England.
That's funny.
Absolutely zero authority to sign anything.
That's funny.
Anybody, anywhere.
I never caught that. Yeah, I've seen that movie hundreds of times. I've never caught that. Yeah, I even watched it. We watched it with Saturday, and I completely missed it. Yeah,
I see it every time, and I think, no. But
it's a movie.
Again, it's a movie. It's fiction.
Oh yeah,
and it's very good. So don't let these
little nitpicky things. Then Laszlo and his wife, who you don't realize knows Humphrey, Rick in the whole scenario, she comes into the picture.
Mm-hmm.
She's an old love of Rick's, but she was married at the time and did not tell Rick the whole time that she was married, or she thought her husband was dead.
She thought her husband was dead. Yeah.
And the day they were to run off and marry each other, where it's just a very famous scene where he's at the train station and it's raining. Oh, it's such a great scene. Again, beautiful shot. And he's holding the letter and it hits the ink. The water hits the ink and it runs the message about how she can't go with him. He has to go alone. It's because she found out her husband was alive.
Still alive.
Yeah.
They were escaping France.
Yeah.
Because the Nazis were at the back door. They were knocking on the door.
Pretty much. I think they were just about there. Yeah. I think they only had a few days. So they were flying as fast as they could, getting on trains and getting the hell out of there. And then that's where he leads to one of the great scenes of him alone in the bar by himself, all the juke joints. And how's that go?
All the gin joints and all the world.
Something like that. Oh, yeah. Like they got like a quotes thing in here. Yeah, it's one of the greatest lines. And why'd she have to come to mind,
Yeah, that's a great scene.
Oh, it's in a beautiful, again, so beautifully shot. How they lit only half of his face. And you feel the they did a good job making you feel his pain. It was very good.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's
All
everything
the
about it.
joints in all the world. She had to walk in the mud.
Yeah, and he slams his fist to the ground on the table.
Yeah.
And then Sam wouldn't leave him. He's like, "You just go home, Sam." No, I think I'll stay.
Yeah.
It's like that. And then they had to play the song. "Kiss is still a kiss
Yeah. Kisses.
as time goes by."
Yeah,
Is
as
the name
time
of it.
goes by is the name of the song.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And that's just another again beautiful scene. And if you notice in that, Humphrey is very much in shadow,
Mm-hmm.
but he is not.
Yeah.
Sam is not. Sam is lit up. You can see Sam. He's worried about his friend. He's not like brightly lit up. The lighting isn't super soft, but he's lit up better than Humphrey or than Rick is in the movie. Because Rick, you only see really half of him because the way they lit the house so good. It is amazing how a lot of these guys figured out how to use to get so much life out of really three colors: black, white, and gray.
Yeah.
And these guys did it the best, I think, because he also the cinematographer, and cinematographers works a lot with the gaffer, and he also did same guy who did All Quiet on the Western Front.
Mm-hmm.
Same guy,
Yeah.
same cinematographer.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful movie too. That guy has you can look if you watch enough old movies, like, that's got to be him. And you look up, yeah, because he did pretty much every friggin' movie back then. It was insane. He was very high in demand, especially if it was a Warner Brothers movie. It was, and the executive producer was one of the Warner Brothers. I can't remember which one because there's two of them, but it doesn't really matter all that much. Producers are important because they find everything. And they're the ones who put the talent together. But directors, actors, and the writers always have a special place for me. Producers are just executives. Just kidding. They're artists too, actually. There's really great producers out there. But so it brings you up to where now he has these papers. Elsa knows he has the papers. Elsa's husband knows he has the papers. And then the French prefect also knows he has the papers. Right. And then the German is pretty sure
they're there somewhere. He doesn't know that Rick has them, but he knows they're there somewhere.
They're in that joint somewhere. And so they turn it up. He hides it underneath the piano, which I always thought was great. That was a great scene where he says something and he just kind of leans forward at the right moment, like when they're about to knock on wood, dun, 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 and that's when he slips it underneath just another really good scene. And, so that's when Elsa shows up. I think first is Laszlo pleads with him, like, hey, if not for me, do it for my wife. Let's get us out of here. Just help us get out of here. And he refuses. And then he meets Elsa. Elsa comes and pulls a gun on him. Like,
give me the papers.
Give me the papers. And she couldn't shoot him.
No, of course.
I'm never sure if she quite plays him or not.
Well, I read a thing the other day because I knew we were going to do this podcast. The end of the movie wasn't written yet when they started shooting it. So she didn't know how the movie was going to end. Nobody really knew how the movie was going to end. So she asked the director, who do I love more? And he wasn't sure either. So he said, just love them both equally.
Oh, okay.
And that's good direction. That made the better movie.
Yeah.
She didn't play favorites. She was in love with both of them. And in fact, I always thought she wanted to stay with Rick at the end.
Yeah, you could feel that.
Yeah. I always thought she did, but Rick made her go. We're giving away the end of the movie, but
if you're listening to this, spoilers, by the way.
And Rick made her go with
Laszlo at the end. Yeah,
he figured that's where she belonged.
Yeah, maybe not today, but maybe not tomorrow, but soon for the rest of your life.
Soon, yeah.
And that's
another great line, by the way, in the movie.
So many.
Yeah.
And
that movie's often quoted, and often misquoted too.
Oh yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, because nowhere ever does he say play it again, Sam.
No, never does.
Never does. It's play it, Sam.
Play it, Sam. Yeah.
It never is play it again, Sam.
If she can stand it, so can I.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wish I could remember some of Renault's, man. Right now I'm having a brain. Man, he had so many himself, What did he say? Yeah, it's where the sentimentalist comes from. I knew it. You're sentimental. But at the end, he kind of, I'm not really sure if she's playing him or not. He kind of alludes that she was at the end, but maybe that was just to make Laszlo feel better. about the whole situation?
It could be. I don't know.
I don't really know. It's kind of a tough one.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
But he comes up with a plan to get out. He makes it sound like he's going to get out with Elsa,
Mm-hmm.
and then he kind of tricks Renault a little bit. A little bit, but I think Renault kind of had an idea what was going on.
Well, he got his mouth the hook too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure he knew. And then you run into, where they get on the famous airplane scene where he tells her, "No, you're getting on that plane with your husband." And it's freaking great. It's just a great movie.
Yeah. Yeah, the airplane scene was shot at Van Nuys Airport
Been nice.
in Los Angeles.
No kidding.
And it was a Lockheed Model 12 Electra Junior airplane with personnel walking around it. But it was a cardboard plane. It was cardboard, and it was really small, so they had little people
That's funny.
walk around it, and then they realized that it wasn't a very good mock-up. So that's where the fog came from. They just made the scene all foggy, so you can't really see the airplane all that good.
It always looks fine every time. I tried to look for it the other night when
Yeah.
we watched it, and I was like, it looks fine to me.
Yeah,
but
it's the distance shots where
Yeah.
they do that. Yeah, because it's not very good.
it wasn't a very good model. It's like one of the James Bond movies. He wrapped, Roger Moore was done. And unless you look for it, you'll never know. And so they had to reshoot a scene, but Roger was busy. So like, oh shit, what do we do? So they painted him on a brick wall holding his gun like this,
Mhm.
and it made it look like he was sneaking through. And you can't tell unless you know to look for it. Like
No.
I think it was From Russia with Love. Was that Roger Moore?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. It's one with I think it's one of the first ones with Jaws.
Yeah, that was Roger Moore.
Yeah, yeah, that was. And when you see it now that I know where to look, I can't. It's like the things you can't unsee.
Yeah.
I see it every time. Oh, that's a painting. They just painted Roger Moore there, and they made it look like this big scene, and then they cut to whatever was shot after.
Yeah, we like you said, we watched this movie Saturday night.
Mhm.
And you really can't tell.
No.
It was
No, it's just
shitty
beautiful.
because they
Did a good job.
did a good job of hiding that,
Yeah,
guy.
it's amazing work. Great filmmakers. I said, and they had their. I mean, you make 179 movies in your life. That's pretty good. You have. I mean, Steven Spielberg is not even close to that, and he's probably the most prolific filmmaker ever. I mean, I think so, and he's not. He's nowhere close to hit to 100. I mean, he also has some that were made in other countries. I don't think he was American originally,
Yeah, I don't know.
because there's some weird named films in like the early 1900s. But again, they're all silent era movies. I like some of them, but it's kind of interesting because not many people survived that transition into sound.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chaplin didn't make it because he had a weird voice and no one wanted to hear him.
Yeah.
So he didn't make it in it, and a couple other guys did. But it's kind of good to see two of the bigger director and cinematographer to pull it all the way through from that silent era all the way really up until the late 60s. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's good. I
But,
enjoy that movie a lot.
You know,
I don't know. Since I saw it that first time, like 5 years ago, I've probably seen it at least a half a dozen times, if not more.
Yeah.
It's one of those I just like, I don't know what to watch. Let's watch Casablanca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I own
In
it.
fact, I watched it on the plane on a
Oh, did you?
trip back from France.
That's funny.
One time. Yeah. It's like, oh, Casablanca. I'll watch that.
It's one of those, I have it in so many different ways, and there's always a way for me to watch it. I just make sure to have it. And, the thing I always leave everybody with is, I know, listening to us, I kind of ramble on, but it is a beautiful movie,
Yeah, it is.
beautiful acting,
Mhm.
great cinematography. If you ever are interested in what cinematographers can do to a movie and how they can change the mood, watch this movie. Because
awesome.
him and the gaffer, which is the lighting guy, they did some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in any black and white or colored movie. I mean, that movie is damn near perfect. As close to perfect as we're going to get. Even the acting is great.
Mm-hmm.
Humphrey Bogart's Humphrey Bogart. He's kind of the same guy in every movie.
Yeah,
but
pretty much. Yeah.
but he's so likable, and he is like, you just want him to turn it. Like the whole movie you're watching in the beginning, you're just like, he's an asshole, but I kind of want him to turn it around. I don't want him to get his heart broken. I understand why he's an asshole. He got his heart broken pretty bad. But yeah, everybody, it's a must watch. If you're into movies in any way, it is a must watch.
Even if you're not. I mean,
Yeah.
if you've never seen this movie, you need to watch it because it's that good, I think.
Yes.
I mean, it is one of the best.
I could put it on my list of untouchable movies that you cannot go out and remake today. You just
Yeah.
can't. You can't remake this movie because half of it wouldn't make sense to most modern people. I mean, realistically, you
Mhm.
can just say this is where's the Casablanca remake because it just wouldn't. People are like I don't get it, you know. But Wizard of Oz is on that as well. Unfortunately, most of them are Warner Brothers owned, and you got that corporation that's worse than Disney who now owns them, and that's Discovery. So I'm really waiting for Discovery to start going through that back catalog of stuff because
Yeah,
might
I
have
don't
to
know. I
burn it
don't think
down.
you could remake this. They talked about sequels, where because the ending,
They left it open. They did.
Renault and
The start of a beautiful
yeah,
friendship. Yeah,
they got that beautiful friendship going on, and you don't know what they could have done.
yeah, you
And
could.
that's okay.
Yeah,
Just leave it there,
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah, but they,
you don't need to over-explain everything. Sometimes I do that by accident, but you don't really need to do it when you end a movie. It's okay to end it.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so many examples out there where
I
people.
was just reading here that they had a scene that they were going to shoot to end the movie, another scene
Mhm.
where Rick and Renault get on a ship of Free French
Mhm.
to augment because they invaded North Africa. The Allies did in 1943, I think it is. And then we're going to put Rick and Renault in with them
Oh,
and end the
okay.
movie that way. But they couldn't get it shot for some reason, and they just said, "Oh, let's just leave it where it is."
Yeah.
And I think it's great. The ending to me is perfect.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly shot at
Oh,
the
yeah.
end. The rainy night, the shadows, the wet.
Oh, that
It's all just perfect.
my first project in schools, I had to remake a favorite scene in a movie, and I did Rick and Elsa with Matt and Jam.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite scenes. I could not get that lighting close. My lighting was a little too harsh, and she always pointed out, the lighting's a little hard. You want to go softer in your lighting. I just didn't have enough lights. You need to soften light. You need a lot of light. But it's still, I look at that every time I see that scene. I'm like, God, that's so beautiful. And they're sitting there drinking wine, and it's right before the Germans invaded France or Paris, or before they came into Paris. They're already in France, I believe,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
before they got to Paris, and they're drinking all the champagne because the bartender's like, they're not getting any of my champagne, So they're just drinking up champagne and sitting around the piano. It's such a beautiful, beautiful scene. And like I said, I can't say enough about it. It's just one of the best movies ever made, and everybody needs to see it.
Yeah.
And only
should.
in black and white.
Only in black and white. Don't ever watch it in color.
Sorry, kids.
I would absolutely refuse to watch it in color.
It should never been colorized.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a trend with old
It
movies.
was in the 80s that they
Yeah.
started doing a lot of that, and people just hated it.
It looked like cartoons.
Nobody liked it.
Yeah.
They did like It's a Wonderful Life. They colorized that.
Really, I've never seen that colored either.
Yeah, no, you don't want to.
No.
That's another well-made.
Perfectly shot.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lighting was designed for black and white. It was not designed for color.
Right.
So it's different lighting techniques, different everything. And like I said, these guys are guys they've so important in filmmaking. This director and the cinematographer, because they went from the old to the spoken word movie to the color movie. Their last few movies were in color, and they are just as gorgeous as they were in black and white. And it's just, and Humphrey Bogart sadly didn't live much longer after the movie. He died in 52, 53.
I don't know.
He was a young man. He had cancer, lung
Yeah,
cancer.
lung cancer. Yeah, he smoked like
Yes. A
freaking.
lot of these guys did.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even in the movies, I don't think he's acting when he's smoking all them cigarettes. That's just
Probably not.
That's just the way he was.
Probably true. Directors will do that sometimes. Just put something in his hands. He's fidgeting too much,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's no, it's a masterclass in filmmaking. It's easy to watch. I know people are turned off on black and white movies, and they shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. Yeah.
You got some great ones out there. We named another one there, and Christmas one there. You just
It's a
said it. It's a Wonderful Life is fantastic. It's not really a Christmas movie, actually. That's the funny thing about it.
Well, it wasn't intended to be, but
It became one. I mean, it
became-
essentially is. It's a must watch every year. What's another one? I mean, if you've ever seen other great Humphrey Bogart movies, The African Queen.
African Queen, yeah.
That's a fantastic movie. Is that Hepburn?
Catherine Hepburn.
Yeah.
I watched that one after I saw Casablanca because I had never seen that one either. And I thought, let's check this one out. It was on one of the paid channels there that we have, Netflix or whatever. And that was a good movie.
That's a very good
I
movie.
think I've watched it twice now.
And Ingrid Bergman, she aged so beautifully through her whole life. She did so many movies. She was great. I mean, all of these actors, you look at the acting on that, and then you go watch another old movie, like, oh, wow, these are all the actors from that movie. They're all the same people. It's just a well put together, everything about it. And I think everybody in that time wanted to recapture that. That's why you see a lot of these same actors together.
Oh,
Even ones who didn't like each other. They would put them together because they had that hit. And they got to keep trying to chase that dragon,
Bogart had esophageal cancer.
It's the esophagus?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know he was
He had
shell.
surgery to remove his esophagus, 2 lymph nodes, and a rib. Wow.
Oh, crap.
The surgery was unsuccessful and chemotherapy followed. He had additional surgery in November 56, but by then it was too late.
No, so he did make it to the mid-50s. That's right.
He I guess when he died, he weighed like 80 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was a pretty sizable guy in his
Yeah.
youth. He was in the Navy, too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, he was...
Not sure. But anyway, Casablanca's a great movie.
It is one of the absolute best. So go watch it. Hang up from us. Go turn on it. I know it's on HBO Max.
Yep, it's on Max. It's on...
You can buy it on Prime. You can buy it on... Okay.
I couldn't find it anywhere else at the time. I didn't have Max then.
Yeah, Max has all of the old Warner Brothers movies. They have all the classics. They have another one people need to check out if you want to see where old crime movies came from. Is Public Enemy. That's on there. It's where they all talk like, yeah, shmee, yeah. It's funny. But it is a classic movie. It is a very good movie. What's funny is you watch that, and that was the movie that changed how violence was done in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie is so violent. It's too violent. We can't have movies like this. But it's classic, and then I think they have Singing in the Rain on there as well, which I was never into because I'm not into musicals. Some musicals, but that's kind of like, I mean, if you like, what's the Christmas one? Similar people, I think. The one where they're all military guys.
Oh, the
White
Christmas.
White Christmas.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same type of movie. Those were so big back then, and they didn't really do it for me. I know Mom loves them.
Yeah.
Oh, Mom absolutely
She likes
loves
White Christmas. In fact, we went to the Flashback Cinema to see that.
Did you?
Last Christmas, this past Christmas.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah, I did. That's right. I'm much interested in that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, go see this. Enjoy it. That's all I got for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice short one this week.
Yeah, this is a great movie, and I'm not really a movie buff. I'm not a movie guy or anything, but after I watched it, I went to the theater to see it, and came home and said, "Why the hell didn't I watch that movie 50 years ago?"
No, it's
not good.
And you see the influence that movie has on every movie pretty much after it, and it's a very big influence, especially from the way the movies after it were shot, the way actors acted, the way it was written. Movies from that.
It's a movie of the time too. You got to remember the American. We weren't really involved in the war then, and it was kind of the first look that I think that America had, other than newsreels.
Yeah.
Of what was going on.
Yeah.
We
heard of it, but because Pearl Harbor was a couple of years away, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was it's worth watching.
It is. That's all I got. That's for this week.
Play it, Sam.
All right. Play it, Sam. He was looking at you, kid.
Yeah, there you go.
You have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, and bye-bye.